Good morning, Tech fam. It's Monday, June 30th, and you're listening to Fly Tech Daily, the podcast that makes your morning smarter in 10 minutes or less.
We're your co-pilots for the biggest tech news. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Nick. Let's dive into today's 5 stories, starting with some serious Tesla drama. For our first story, Tesla's Robotaxi launch was a big fan fest, and critics were shut out. Tesla just launched the long-hyped self-driving taxi service, but instead of showcasing it to the world with transparency, the entire rollout was dominated by Elon Musk superfans. The journalists were left out, and anyone asking tough questions left off the internet.
A robotaxi is Tesla's term for a fully autonomous vehicle, a car that drives itself without a human behind the wheel. The idea is that one day you'll be able to summon a self-driving Tesla from your phone like you would an Uber. But when Tesla revealed its robotaxi in Austin, Texas last week, it skipped its usual press conference. Instead, it gave exclusive access to influencers, people who built entire platforms promoting Musk and his vision. These superfans live-streamed the event and flooded social media with glowing reactions. Meanwhile, respected journalists were ignored or mocked. One influencer even bragged about dodging questions from a Reuters reporter. Critics say it felt more like an infomercial than a real test of cutting-edge tech. Some observers, including academics and authors, are calling the strategy corporate propaganda. It creates a one-sided echo chamber, leaving little room for scrutiny, even as some influencers recorded the robotaxis malfunctioning. So Nick, what's the takeaway?
Tesla's Robotaxi launch wasn't a tech event. It was a PR show starring superfans, but even the most loyal followers couldn't fully mask the glitches.
For our second story, the Supreme Court just gave the states the green light to demand age verification, even if it means compromising your privacy. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled that states can now legally force websites to verify users' ages before they access adult content, a massive shift in online free speech and privacy law.
For the past 2 decades, courts have generally blocked these laws, arguing that they violated the First Amendment rights and put too much burden on adults. But now, the court says that the internet has changed, and those arguments no longer apply. In short, states can require you to prove that you're over 18 before accessing any adult or mature content, whether that's on video site or even a fiction forum. The privacy concern, the information could be stored, leaked, or even used by law enforcement, especially in the states with aggressive online content politics. Critics warn this could chill access to educational sexual health content. But with this new ruling, more states are expected to follow, and many websites may be forced to collect more user data or block access entirely. So Michelle, what's the takeaway for our beautiful listeners?
The court says states can require age checks online, but now your browsing habits might come with a side of surveillance.
For our third topic, Spotify's Discover Weekly is getting an upgrade, and this time you're in control. Spotify is finally letting users customize their Discover Week playlist, the ones that magically suggest new music each Monday. But now, you'll be able to choose what genres you want more of, like pop, R&B, funk, or electronic.
Discover Weekly was a hit when it launched in 2015, a playlist that updates every Monday with music tailored to your listening habits. It's one of the ways Spotify becomes the go-to app for music discovery. But lately, users have complained that the recommendations feel repetitive or miscategorized. You might get country when you want lo-fi, or hear the same 5 songs over and over again. Now, Spotify is adding simple buttons at the top of the playlist so you can nudge the algorithm in the direction you actually want. This comes alongside other personalization features Spotify launched, like an AI DJ that talks about your listening history and tools that build playlists for text prompts or even emojis. So Nick, what's the takeaway for our BTS listeners?
Discover Weekly is no longer one size fits all. Spotify is finally letting you guide the vibe.
For our fourth story, Facebook wants to access your private photos, all in the name of AI. Facebook is testing a new feature called cloud processing that asks users to give the app regular access to their private, unpublished camera roll photos. And yes, that includes pics you never posted.
When some users went to post a Facebook story last week, they got a prompt asking if they wanted to opt in into a new AI feature. The pitch? Facebook can scan your photos and automatically generate things like collages, recaps, or stylized effects, birthday albums, travel highlights, and more. But what many didn't realize is what they were agreeing to. They were also allowing Meta to analyze facial features, read dates on photos, and scan who or what is in the picture, all using AI. And while Meta says this test doesn't use the photos to train its larger AI models, yet the company hasn't ruled it out. Plus, the terms of service don't clearly say how long they'll keep your data for and whether they'll use the data for something else down the line. Some users even reported Facebook applying AI filters to old wedding photos without them knowing. So Michelle, what's the takeaway for our beautiful Meta listeners?
Facebook says it's about helpful AI suggestions, but when it comes to your private photos, this feature might feel more invasive than inspiring.
For our fifth and final story, Trump pressured Canada to drop its tech tax, and it worked. In a weekend standoff, President Trump threatened to shut down trade talks with Canada over its new digital service tax. By Sunday, Canada folded, and the tax was poof, gone.
Canada had recently introduced a 3% tax on the revenue that big U.S. tech companies like Amazon, Google, and Meta earned in the country. The goal was to make sure that these billion-dollar companies pay their fair share locally. But the U.S. under Trump's administration saw it as a hostile move against American businesses. So on Friday, Trump declared on Truth Social that all trade negotiations with Canada were terminated immediately.
2 days later, Canada backed down. Officials said the tax would be scrapped in the interest of reaching a broader trade deal.
This is a clear victory for Trump, who's been pushing an aggressive America First approach to global economics. It's also a signal to other countries like France and the UK that taxing US tech giants might come with consequences. So Nick, what is the takeaway for our Apple listeners?
Canada blinked and big tech dodged the bill. So Michelle, what's the final takeaways for our beautiful listeners?
Tesla launched its Robotaxi without press and it turned into a fan-only party, but the real world's already poking holes in the hype.
For our second topic, the Supreme Court gave states the green light to enforce age verification even if it chips away at online privacy.
For our third topic, Spotify's Discovery Weekly just got a glow up and now you can steer the playlist instead of shouting at it.
For our fourth topic, Facebook is scanning your private photo roll for AI suggestions, but users say you should be reading the fine print first.
And for our fifth and final topic, Trump just forced Canada to cancel a tech tax with one social post and a little trade pressure.
And that's it for today's Fly Tech Daily. If today's podcast helped you understand tech world a little bit better, made you laugh, or just reminded you to double check your Facebook settings,
drop us a 5-star review like Spotify drops your Monday mix. Seriously, it helps us more than you think.
We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same feed.
Stay fly.
Peace.